This moment has already changed America. Donald Trump has officially become the 47th President of the United States of America.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
The Republican overcame many adversities to be here for the second time. Because of the severe cold, the swearing-in ceremony took place inside the Capitol building, in a beautiful location under the rotunda. For the occasion, the so-called Lincoln Bible, the one on which Abraham Lincoln swore his oath of office on the 4th of March 1861, was borrowed from the Washington archives. Donald Trump was also carrying a personal Bible that he had received as a child. Accompanied by his wife Melania and his immediate family, he took the solemn oath and so once again became the leader of the free world. Just before the official ceremonies, Donald Trump met Joe Biden at the White House. It was a private conversation after which the two presidents went to the inauguration ceremony together. Trump still has a meeting with supporters and a ceremonial parade in honor of the new president in the sports hall. Donald Trump's swearing in also marks his first day of service as president and his first major decisions in that role. For starters, there will be 200 of them, which is no joke. These will be the largest deportations of illegal immigrants who have committed crimes in American history. The services are already mobilized and the guards are ready with all their might to defend the borders through which millions of uncontrolled newcomers crawled under the Democrat regime. As far as security is concerned, there is no doubt that this was a key element of the presidential campaign, and Donald Trump will want to prove himself in this field on his first day in office. Hence, he will sign a corresponding presidential executive order, according to which he will certainly appoint part of the National Guard, perhaps even the Army. The second pillar of the Republican presidency is the economy, devastated by 4 years of Democratic rule, fighting inflation, returning manufacturing to America, tackling rising unemployment, and building a superpower position at the expense of China's expansion. We are going to have such major changes that this previous system is unlikely to return, all the more so because it has been in very deep difficulties over the last few years. In fact, it has been in a state of permanent crisis, and America had to do something about it, and it so happens that Trump is going to do something about it. Family values will also be restored. No more forceful promotion of left liberal ideologies in schools, in sport, in life. Donald Trump also has the issue of the war in Ukraine to deal with. Thanks to his decisiveness, Israeli citizens kidnapped by Hamas are already returning home. One of the important tasks of Vice President J.D. Vance will be to control the rule of law in Poland after the many unlawful actions of Donald Tusk's government. Donald Trump is skillfully choosing his associates. One of them will be billionaire Elon Musk, who came to yesterday's Republican rally with his son. Americans are looking forward to the new order with hope. The Washington chill doesn't frighten them. They are warmed by the thought of a more wonderful America. One thing is certain, we are living in very interesting times. America is changing before our eyes, and the world is also changing. This is an opportunity we cannot waste. This is what Polish President Andrzej Duda says about the beginning of President Donald Trump's second term, and he recalls a list of successes from the Republicans' first term. You remember, on the one hand, the gas contract signed at that time. On the other, my visit to the U.S. terminal, the military contracts for the purchase of the Patriot system, for the purchase of F-35 aircraft, the increase of U.S. military presence in Poland. President Donald Trump, while he was still a candidate for office, spoke about his close relationship with President Andrzej Duda, but also about how important it is for the United States to work with Poland during an interview in October with Republika.
I'm going to take care of the Polish people, always have. I made that speech in Warsaw, and people still talk about the speech, and I loved it, and it was, had a big impact. I don't want to say this braggadociously, but they said it was the greatest speech ever made.
Now that Donald Trump has been sworn in, Poland has a huge geopolitical opportunity. What is most important for us? Security in the region. Under President Joe Biden, the Russian aggression against Ukraine began. For the first time in years, a war is taking place right on our border. Ending it is one of Donald Trump's most important tasks.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order. and it will take me no longer than one day.
This is not just about Ukraine, it's about the whole of Europe. In the aforementioned historic speech in Warsaw during his first term in office, President Donald Trump emphasized how important a strong and secure Poland is for the entire free world.
So together let us all fight like the Poles, for family, for freedom, for country, and for God. Thank you, God bless you, God bless the Polish people, God bless our allies, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. God bless you.
These words are followed by specifics. For example, Trump's support for the Three Seas Initiative and Poland's increased importance within the structures of NATO as an exemplary country fulfilling its obligations as a member of the strongest military alliance in the world.
Poland has a place to play here. It's been an increasingly important place because of what Vladimir Putin did in February 2022. That Polish importance now increases, ironically, because of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's views on cooperation with Poland in our region have not changed. However, the government in Warsaw has changed, and the politicians of the Civic platform have never hidden their dislike of Trump. It would be the worst-case scenario for us, for our national interest, if, God forbid, Donald Trump comes back to power. This is how Donald Trump was attacked by the Civic Coalition's presidential candidate, and this is how his boss, current Prime Minister Donald Tusk, attacked Trump. Trump and his dependence on Russian services today is no longer debatable. This is not my assumption. This is the result of an investigation by the U.S. services. It is not ruled out by the U.S. services that Trump was even recruited by the Russian services 30 years ago. Today, Donald Tusk will be happy to erase his accusations against Trump. Let bygones be bygones, as they say across the Atlantic. What was is gone, but the damage is done. Besides, the administration of the new president of the world's most powerful superpower and guarantor of Poland's security remembers not only the offensive accusations of cooperation with Russia. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance openly wrote about the Tusk government being a threat to democracy in Poland and the alliance with America. Until recently, Poland had a conservative government. Using a lot of diplomatic and economic pressure, the Biden administration and many European nations attacked that government as anti-democracy. That government recently was replaced by a globalist liberal government that is now arresting its political opponents and shutting down public debate. Sound familiar? In the name of protecting democracy, they are using your tax dollars to attack a government that was a great ally of ours. Donald Tusk mocks such allegations. Not afraid of Tusk? Honest people have nothing to fear. Is that so? Then why did Hungary grant political asylum to opposition politician Marcin Romanowski? Why did the priest Michał Olszewski and two former officials of the Ministry of Justice spend many months behind bars? Why is there the persecution of journalists inconvenient to the authorities and their families, and recently also of ordinary citizens who demand an accounting of collections and transfers of public money to the private foundation of Tusk-supporting Jerzy Owsiak? A search of my flat. They told me to get dressed and that I was being arrested, and I said, on what grounds am I being arrested? Threats. But I didn't threaten anyone. That is why Donald Trump's second term as President of the United States is an opportunity for Poland that must be taken advantage of. In this context, the presidential elections in May in Poland may prove crucial, probably the most important elections in Poland's recent history.
The impact on the world due to the change of administration in the White House was evident from the day the election results were announced. The slogans from the election campaign and the president-elect's subsequent statements had an almost immediate effect. One of them is undoubtedly the truce between Israel and Hamas and the cessation of fighting in the Gaza Strip. Today, one key message seems to have influenced decisions on both sides of the front. These scenes say more than any words. Silence. There are no explosions, no gunfire, and no shouting. Instead, there are bursts of joy in many places, both on one side and on the other.
3 Israeli hostages have come home after over 470 days in captivity. The 3 young women were released as a long-awaited ceasefire between Israel and Hamas took effect. The women came home to a hero's welcome. As they met with relatives at a military base on the Gaza border, thousands of people gathered in a Tel Aviv square, cheering on the release as they watched it live on a large screen. At the same time, Israel was releasing 90 Palestinian prisoners in return. This all came on the first day of the ceasefire.
Both sides have made major concessions, but as both Israeli and Hamas representatives stress, both are also ready to resume operations immediately. Our forces are deployed on the defense lines, as agreed in the agreement. In addition, we have deployed additional forces in the West Bank region and are prepared in terms of defensive and offensive strength. What is most important is that the agreement was accepted not only by Palestinian politicians, but also by Hamas militias, including its main armed wing responsible for the October 7, 2023 attack. We, along with our brothers from the Palestinian resistance factions, declare our commitment to the ceasefire agreement and our readiness to implement its provisions and abide by its terms in terms of the cessation of hostilities. Analysts agree this man had a direct impact on events in the Middle East. Of course, teams from both administrations in Washington, D.C. worked on the agreement, but Donald Trump's uncompromising stance was key. Immediately after his election, President Trump committed himself to the mission to free the hostages. He spoke with me Wednesday night and welcomed the agreement, and rightly stressed that the first step to the deal is a temporary ceasefire. Comments made by Trump after the election were key, including a warning that if there is no release of Israeli hostages before he is sworn in, all hell will break loose in Gaza.
Our incoming administration has achieved all of this in the Middle East in less than 3 months without being president. We've achieved more without being president than they've achieved in 4 years with being president.
However, this is not the end yet. Trump has a very difficult task ahead. First, Hamas has agreed to release only some of the hostages. Second, Israel will not tolerate provocations in the West Bank.
President Trump, I'm asking you to keep fighting for my brothers and for all the other remaining hostages in Gaza. My dream is to become an uncle for my brothers. They still have a future. They can still be home.
The Middle East is one of the many puzzles of the geopolitical puzzle that Donald Trump has declared he will put together. And while here a few clearly worded warnings were enough, elsewhere, fitting the pieces may be much more difficult.